All right, well, thanks for clicking play there. We're going to be speaking today with John J. Miller, a longtime friend of ours. I'm Mike Hartmann, one of the three co-editors of the Giving Review. One of the others is Dan Schmidt, longtime vice president at the Bradley Foundation, and John J. Miller, who directs the Dow Journalism Program at Hillsdale College. He founded and is, I think, executive director of the Student Free Press Association, which publishes, if that's the right word, the College Fix. In college, and this is important, John was editor of the Michigan Review. So we'll I'm a former collegiate journalist myself, John, so let's definitely kick that around for a little bit. He writes for National Review, as I'm sure many of you know, and the Wall Street Journal, serves on the board of the Apgar Foundation, and is the author of several books, including 2 on philanthropy. I got props, John, for one of his books on philanthropy. By the way, you may have more, there's at least 2. One was a monograph for the Philanthropy Roundtable on the John M. Olin Foundation and the Bradley Foundation and the roles they played in public policy grant making, I guess, say policy-oriented philanthropy. And the other is one that I want to talk about, A Gift of Freedom, an encounter book, How the John M. Olin Foundation Changed America is the subtitle, published 15 years ago. And I think it's maybe 16 years ago that Olin spent out, as it were. And we'd love to talk more about John M. Olin and his foundation, the Olin Foundation. But let's start with the Michigan Review. John, how's it doing?
It's still around, which is wonderful news in this era of so much disruption in the media and newspapers shutting down. There is still a Michigan Review, which was my student paper back when I was in Ann Arbor. Late 80s, early 90s. I worked at it for my 4 years there. I was editor of it for a time. There was a moment a few years ago when it went online, but it is actually coming back out in print again with the new team that's assembled there. But it's still around, still publishing and turning out some young, talented writers.
Who funded it when you were there? Was it a student fee thing or?
No. Yeah. So this was an independent publication. The university provided us with office space. Other than that, nothing. Yeah. But that was a great gift. I will say it was a tremendous office we had, and in the Michigan League, and it was a product of the Collegiate Network, or I should say, it was a part of this consortium called the Collegiate Network, which was a group supported by philanthropists who wanted to help conservative and libertarian students have publications on campuses. So we were kind of the alternative media in Ann Arbor. There's the Michigan Daily, which think of it as the New York Times of the campus in Ann Arbor. And then there was, the scrappy little Michigan Review, which is where I worked. And we were, the National Review of campus. And at any rate, we were part of the Collegiate Network, which was a group that was trying to help publications like this around the country flourish. And at its height, there were dozens and dozens of them. The most famous, maybe even occasionally infamous one was the Dartmouth Review. But Stanford, Yale, Princeton, really a lot of elite schools had these publications. And if you look at the roster of journalists at work today who are on the right of center, so many of them have this in their background. My editor at National Review, Rich Lowry, worked at the Virginia Advocate. One of my colleagues, Ramesh Panuru, worked at the Princeton Tory. And you can just go on and on and on with names like this, and you'll see how much this investment that philanthropists made in this movement, how much it has paid off in terms of people entering the profession and shaping the media today.
On that point, John, if I can ask a question, just a couple of sentences from you on, or remarks from you on the difference between that network of the establishment newspapers and colleges and universities in terms of what they wrote on, how they wrote about it, style, content in terms of the knowledge. And of course, as you say, not unlike the Federalist Society, in which philanthropists on the right did support, as well as alternatives to the existing legal situation. How do you think, just briefly, that sort of, as you said, the Lowry and others and company carried on what they learned and some of the habits they developed through that network, a good thing, certainly. What about the other side? Have they carried on with their same sort of style and content and approach to it, or has it gotten worse or moderated in your view?
So they continue. The mainstream publications still exist, and I think, you know, when I was a student, they were pretty left wing, and they have remained that way, and either kind of drifted even further left wing, as have the entire institution of higher education. You know, as colleges and universities have drifted left, you know, and I thought they were pretty liberal when I was there, but it's like, you know, hold my beer. Just wait. You know, they are that way themselves now. And this is what, you know, these are the institutions on campus that are producing the next generation of journalists, and they are woke, and they are ready to bring that wokeness into the newsroom. They're already doing it. You see this effect all the time when you open up, say, the New York Times. But this drift will continue because of what these publications produce.
Who's funding the Michigan Review now, or
who supports the Michigan Review?
Who's in this space now? Yeah.
It's the Michigan Review is still a member of the Collegiate Network, which today is a unit of ISI, the Intercollegiate Studies Institute. It was not back in my day. These were separate, but they linked it a number of years ago. And so it's a program within the Intercollegiate Studies Institute, which of course has always been involved in academic programs and trying to create a new generation of scholars in the universities through its fellowships and publications and so forth. The Collegiate Network is alive and well, and is still supporting a number of these publications. I don't know the number of papers in the network now. Many of these papers are in fact not papers; they are websites. They are news websites or glorified blogs or whatever you want to call them. But they're finding ways to support these kids on campus and help them do their work, and then offering them paid summer internships, year-long fellowships upon graduation that help young people explore these careers and launch into media professionals.
And what does the College Fix offer kids?
Well, the College Fix is similar, and it's an organization I started 11 years ago because I was a product of conservative and libertarian college journalism. And during my time at National Review, I would often work with the interns that we received for the summertime, and we had some really great interns in the DC bureau, and I enjoyed working with them and getting to know them and encouraging them in their careers. And it's been a great joy watching them actually succeed and so forth. My first intern at National Review was Matt Continetti, who went on to found the Washington Free Beacon and was its editor for many years. Now he's at AEI, and you know, Matt's brilliant. You know, I saw that when he was 20 years old or whatever he was, and thought this kid is gonna flourish. But he was my intern, and it's been great to see his success. But it's through programs like this that you allow these careers to get going, and without them, a lot of these smart young people will do other things. They'll go to law school. They'll have great lives doing those things. But think about what the loss is to journalism and the media and the conservative and libertarian and freedom movement if you don't have these voices. So it's important to cultivate them. Well, I knew I was a product of this, and I was grateful for it. I was working with these young people at National Review. I was also recognizing that we weren't producing enough. That when National Review would have a job opening for a junior editor, for example, how difficult it was to find someone who had the talent, would be a good fit, had the desire, and so on. And that we got to find new ways. We got to find additional ways to create this human capital. And I had the idea for the College Fix, which essentially is, let's create a website that'll be a national publication that students anywhere in the country can write for. One of the things the Collegiate Network always is, they support specific publications on campuses, and that's great. And you're you assemble teams and you put out issues. You learn everything about writing, about reporting, about layout, about distributing the circulation. It's like running a little business, and this is a great experience. But you can't have these on every campus in America. It's just too expensive. And in many campuses, there are conservative and libertarian students who have the talent and desire to do this kind of work, are turned off by the mainstream publications on their campuses, and yet have no alternative. So what is there for them? Well, now there's the College Fix, which means you can just be a reporter on a campus. You want to learn reporting, you want to do some of it, well, you can work for the College Fix. And we have professional editors who are full-time veteran journalists who will work with you on story development, tell you how to put together a story, will train you. I mean, these are editors, but they're also mentors and coaches. And so the idea is you can come to us and we'll do the training, we'll work with you, we'll help you print professionally, we'll pay you to do it when you do good work. And then we'll offer fellowships that will allow you to check out this industry and maybe get a start. So this organization of mine is in the same space, you might say, as the Collegiate Network, but we have a couple different emphases, and we work well together. In fact, we communicate and trade information, and about who's talented, and check out this kid and that sort of thing, and we also compete, frankly.
Yeah.
And as I'm always reminding myself, our side is the one that believes in competition, and the idea that the competition makes us better, and I believe that's true in this case. But we do have a kind of common purpose.
As does the Dow Journalism program, I assume you'd say. But there, you're that's for full-time students, and you get a degree. Is that right? Or
yeah. So my main job, my full-time job, I feel like I have about 5 jobs, but the number one job is I run the Dow Journalism program here at Hillsdale College, and I've done that for the last 10 years. And I'm speaking to you from the campus right now. We have an excellent little college, and journalism is a minor here, which is what we want it to be, because we want students to major in a traditional academic discipline, economics, biology, history, English, whatever, and then minor in journalism. And this includes a little bit of classwork, but mainly it involves working at our campus newspaper and or at our campus radio station, and getting the practical experience you need to thrive in these fields, to learn how to write articles, learn how to speak into a microphone, learn how to hold an audience's attention through the written word or the spoken word. And so that's what we do here. I sometimes joke that the College Fix is my Dow Journalism program for the rest of America. But here on campus, we have a kind of full service journalism program where if you arrive here as a student, you can get involved right away and be immersed in the activities of print and radio and podcasting and so forth, and learn that. And our students here at the college who want to go into journalism professionally are thriving. We have at Hillsdale, we have 4 alumni who are on the Wall Street Journal editorial page right now, for instance. And they are all over the place throughout the country, in the mainstream media, in the right of center media, everywhere you will find our alumni, and it all starts with the training and education they get here.
you must have some thoughts on the University of North Carolina journalism schools, also, by the way, named the Hussman School, I think it is, Hussman School of Journalism and Media, which had a little tete-a-tete over the role that Nicole Hannah-Jones might have played there. Hussman himself, I guess, expressed an opinion, and that became a thing. At any rate, what do you think of that? Would that have happened at the Dow program?
Well, we wouldn't have hired or wanted to hire the author of the 1619 project. It'd be interesting to talk to her, have a debate maybe. But we wouldn't have wanted to hire her. They sort of stepped in it at UNC with this attempted hire, which became a controversy over her qualifications and also her demand for immediate tenure, and the whole thing blew up, and I guess she wound up at Howard University. UNC wanted a star, clearly. They wanted a celebrity, and the leftists who run that school within UNC went out and, you know, got one of the biggest left-wing stars in the firmament. Well, it turns out, you know, not everybody is as admiring of her work as the Pulitzer Prize Committee was when they awarded a prize for this factually challenged account of what American history really is. At any rate, it was too bad for them, but you know, too bad for UNC. But you know, maybe a kind of blessing that they actually don't have this person on the faculty right now.
John, may I ask you a question about the funding for journalism programs such as the Dow program and so forth? In doing your book on Bradley and Olin, of course, part of that story is the sort of, I guess, one of the successful parts of the story, that they were able to understand that you needed to sort of have their own march through the institutions, or at least try to have a march through the institutions, and therefore persistence and performance in funding. Do you find that conservative, let's say, institutional funders, perhaps it's changed over to individual funders, have that same sort of psyche, that same sort of conscience about the necessity to stay in for the long run and battle this so-called question of attention, the philanthropy attention, if you will? And has that changed at all in terms of sort of what is needed, which you have in a microcosm, if you want to call it that, already at the Dow program, and really the roots of the collegiate network, as opposed to sort of the growing amoeba of left-wing journalism, radical left-wing journalism? So if you could just speak a few moments to that, which will lead us probably into conversation a little bit more about Olin and Bradley and other foundational things. So just wondering what your opinion is of that.
Well, first of all, there are a lot of great strategic philanthropists who want to support this kind of work. And we wouldn't have a Dow journalism program at Hillsdale College without that. We wouldn't have the College Fix without philanthropists who wanted to play a long game on media and career development and so forth. And the same is true with the collegiate network. It is so important, and this is I'm moving into what I think is probably a general principle in philanthropy, certainly in the philanthropy of public policy and shaping ideas and opinions and so forth, which is the idea you really need to stick with winning institutions and ideas. You know, where you are playing a long game. This is not about the next election. This is about the next generation and beyond. If you want to invest in transforming the media, if you want to defeat or overcome or even just mitigate the effects of the liberal media establishment, you need great conservative and libertarian and freedom-loving journalists going into that business. Well, you don't do that with a single grant that lasts a year. You do this with investments across decades, frankly, where you're building a talent pipeline that can repeatedly produce people who go into this industry and make their mark, maybe after you're gone. You need to be a strategic philanthropist who understands that your influence, you may not live to see your influence. It'd be great if you do, but the greatest effect that you may be able to enact could happen a generation after you're gone. But that's the kind of consistency it takes, I think, to make a really big difference. And you see, there are a lot of philanthropists who do think that way, and they see the John M. Olin Foundation as a kind of model in this respect, because that's what the John M. Olin Foundation tried to achieve. But then there are a lot of philanthropists who have different kinds of ideas and flit around, and that's it's their money. They can do as they please, obviously. But I do think there often is a question about how effective that will be.
Well, great.
Right.
Why don't we finish up with part one there and pick up with part two on the other side?